What is up guys, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're not new here, welcome back to my channel. I'm literally sweating so freaking much because I am like currently on my run, but I was like, you know what, let me film this video for you guys. I haven't done a story time in a minute, and I feel like this is like a good story time because some of you may or may not know about this. So I'm like, you know what, let me fill in the people that don't know. Don't mind me sweaty. Literally the sun is setting behind me. The lake that I always come running at, which is so freaking pretty, but there's like so many people here too because it's literally 7:15. And yeah, like the sun is about to set, so don't mind me all sweaty and stuff. But pretty much I'm gonna be doing a story time on a sugar daddy that I had, and he pretty much threw a freaking drink on me, gaslighted me, and it's just a lot. So I'm gonna get into it because I feel like this is such an interesting story time, because a lot of people, like on my close friends on Instagram, I've like posted little stuff before, and a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, how do you get one? Like, let me know, how do you get them? And for some reason, like, I just attract them. Like, I don't go looking, like all those sites, all those like other weird things, I feel like they don't work, because I just feel like that's like a scam. That's like so much time consuming, and like having to look and stuff that makes like no freaking sense. So for me, with like the ones that I've had, I don't know why, like I just attract them. Bro, my hair looks crazy, so don't mind me, and I'm like literally drenching in sweat because I literally just ran. But I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. Today's actually Wednesday. Anyways, like I was saying, I pretty much attract them. Like, they always find me and they always come to me, so I'm like, okay, whatever, because I know he's gonna be watching this video, literally, because like he's not a fan, but like pretty much I know he's watching this video right now. So how we met, he pretty much like reached out to me, and then it was like I never really like gave him attention like that. And one time I was just like, you know what, F it, like, you know. So go through your message requests, y'all, like ladies, gentlemen, go through your message requests, because you never freaking know. Even though like on Instagram there's like a lot of spam ones, like, oh, I'll give you a monthly allowance, those are scam. So if you guys want an in-depth video on like how to finesse, let me know, because period. Anyway, so just a disclaimer too, I'm not promoting for you to go and get a sugar daddy. I'm not in any way, shape, or form. This person, we never had any intimacy whatsoever, and people find that hard to believe, and I'm like, bro, he was literally over 60 years old. Like, he couldn't even if he wanted to. Those are the ones you gotta get, you know, where you're not having to, you know, put yourself out there like that. So I was just like, F it. So we ended up like hanging out or whatever, and it was so cool. Like, you know, he clearly knew my story because of social media, whoop-de-woo, and he was like trying to relate because his mother's husband passed away, and he was like trying to relate in that way, like, oh, like I understand, which a lot of people say they understand, but they just see my vulnerability and they use it and take advantage of that. Like, I learned that very spot on. And two, what was crazy, this person's birthday, Gabriel's, is March 10th, his was March 11th. So that, like, I don't know, that was just like, wow, like, you know, whatever. And clearly he was a Pisces. I love Pisces. Like, all my friends are Pisces. Like, I just love Pisces. That's all I attract. Yeah, so like we hanged out for like at least a good 4 months. Yeah, like a good 4 months. So we would hang out. We would always be like out and about. Like, he would always take me to nice restaurants, and it was so funny because when we would go to these restaurants, like the waiters, clearly I look young and he looked literally like my grandpa, but he was, I give it to him, he looked good. Like, he wasn't like an old wrinkly, like he looked good, you know. It was like, okay, like, you know, he looked good, I give that to him. So we would always go out and stuff, and like they would never even acknowledge me. Like, the waiters would just, they knew he was paying, so like they like knew already, like, you know, that's your sugar daddy, whoop-de-whoop. After a while, like, it started, I clearly was not like giving him any, you know, intimacy like that, whatever. It was mainly more like he liked spending time with me, which I, you know, I'm like, I'm always down for a free drink. So I would always like ask, I think the first time I asked him for money, it was like for 300, and I was like, oh, it's for a bill. And he just sent it, whatever. And then he took me shopping before. Like, it's just a lot. Like, clearly he was like providing for me and stuff, like in that way or whatever. Like, we'd hang out, we'd always go eat and stuff, and like yeah, he would just give me money. So then the last time I was gonna get Botox and lip fillers, so then he gave me $500 for that, which I never ended up getting, which is so freaking funny because I really did want to go and I was like looking for different places, but like he zelled me and was like, here, like I got you, like whatever. Like he was not greedy whatsoever. Like once like we established that, like, you know, relationship, I guess, like I was comfortable. I was like, oh hey, like can you like give me money, can you, like, you know, it was never like, oh I need to like pay him back, or I felt like weird or like I had to give him something or anything. What was interesting too is he had a subscription to my OnlyFans, so like whenever we would hang out, like, and he would like just be a little weird and he would be like, oh, like, but there's so many people walking by. Also, if I get awkward, it's because what I'm saying is like but we would like get in like little arguments. I think his kink was like arguing, because every time we'd hang out he would always try to argue and he would always bring that fact up. He'd be like, no, which I made it clear I'm not looking for a relationship or anything, and like this man was so hard-headed. He never ever, oh my god, like it would irk my soul because I would clearly tell him how it was, and he never, like, he would just hear it in one ear out the other. He's like, oh, you're never gonna find love, like no one's gonna want to date in OnlyFans. Like he literally was like, I'm a prostitute. This is so funny because there's so many people walking by. And I'm saying this so loud, but anyways, every time like we would get like in little arguments, whatever, he would always bring that up, and I would always tell him like, oh, like, you know, like it's not, when I'm in a relationship with someone, I'm not out here filming with other people. And I would always tell him that, and he would never, like, that never clicked in his head. He would always bring it up like, well, you're never gonna find love because don't no one want to date a prostitute or an OnlyFans model, or who would want to date somebody that's gonna be out here having sex with any and everybody and this and that, and like go find your little gym bros to film with. Just very toxic. And I'm like, bruh. And I got to the point where it was just so like mentally draining, and I was like, okay, whatever. So like we did try to take like I tried to take like a little break talking to him off, and then like we ended up talking again, whatever. And then he would like take me shopping, he would literally spoil me, and all I was giving him was my time, you know. Like it was never, I never seen him sexually like that, and he knew that. Maybe he didn't, but now you know that I never seen you like that, because I just didn't, like, you know. It was like, okay, like, you know, he would always joke around too, like, oh, I'm your sugar daddy, whoop-de-woo, like, I'm your sugar daddy. But like it was, we never like sat down and like had that like talk where it's like, yeah, I'm your sugar baby, you're my sugar daddy, like this is it, you know. We never had that talk. It was always like joking around, and I would be joking around too, like, yeah, you're my sugar daddy. Or like when we went to certain places, I'd be like, yeah, my sugar daddy got it. And knowingly, like, I never wanted to say like, oh, you're my sugar daddy, because that's like the biggest thing you don't want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is tell your sugar daddy he's your sugar daddy. Like, no, that's a no-no. This one time we went to this restaurant. This was like our third time there, and it was a nice cute restaurant. The waiter, she knew us. Like that night she got us drunk, she was giving us free shots and stuff, because I would make sure he tipped good. Like if you're any server, because we would go to restaurants and I would get recognized, you guys. I'd be like, oh my god. So if y'all are watching this video, I made sure like tipping good, like 50 and up good, like y'all got a good check. Like they loved us whenever we would go. Like everyone would be like, you know, this server in particular, she's like, you know, every time you guys come, ask for me. So she kept giving us free shots. She's like, oh, it's on me, because she knew we tipped good. Well, he tipped good, but yeah, I was the one like, ah. He pretty much was like, he's a piece of shit, to be honest. He literally would say all the time, and to this day I'm sure he still says it, oh, I'm gonna wait until my mother dies so then I could come out the closet, like nobody knows. And I'm like, be for real, you're not married, you have no kids, and you're in your 60s. I'm sure everyone knows you are a homosexual, like BFFR. But I was telling him, I was like, bro, like that makes no sense, like, huh? And he's like, no, it's just like a whatever. And I was like, that's like a piece of shit thing to say, like, I'm gonna wait till my mother dies and I'll come out the closet. Like, who says those type of things? Like, that's sick in the head, you know? He had a drink and he literally threw it across the table. Like, I'm not even freaking kidding you guys. This man was so zesty and so toxic. Like, I didn't even need the money or like need to go shopping, none of that. Like, need the food he would send me, need none of that, like the providingness. I just generally liked hanging out with somebody, you know, because I just liked hanging out with somebody, going out, doing these things. It was a plus that, you know, he would pay me and like pay for the stuff and buy me shit, send me money whenever I asked. So I was just like, oh, this is like so not it. And yeah, he threw the drink. I was so embarrassed. I was like, bruh, like this is so embarrassing. Like, he literally threw the drink across the table. It didn't get all on me. It got like on the chips and salsa and stuff. It didn't like get on me, but I'm a Scorpio. I made a big deal, like, you threw a drink at me, like OMG. So he threw the drink and we already paid and stuff, and then he stormed off. And I called my best friend and I was like, bro, like such and such threw a drink at me, left me here stranded. And she's like, oh my gosh, like hold on. And this day too, I was freaking vlogging. I'm not even gonna lie, I would vlog around him. I just would never show him or anything. Like I feel like if people were smart, or if they're on my close friends list, they would put 2 and 2 together. They would just know. So that happened, and I was like, bro, this is so draining, and like so like this is not it. Like why am I always feeling so drained and mentally drained? Like this man, I think that was his kink, like to argue and fight, and it was just, for me, in the state of mind I was in, it was draining, because it's like, why are you trying to fight? Like why are you always bringing this up? Like every time, well, you do OnlyFans, you're a prostitute, you're literally out here wanting a, he literally would always tell me that I wanted a boyfriend, which I don't, and I made it very clear. And I told him, I was like, if I ever get in a relationship again, and if I'm still doing OnlyFans, I'm going to just film with that one person. And he never heard or understood that part, I guess. I don't know why, but he'd always be like, who wants to be with somebody that's gonna come home from taking all this D and then yada yada. And I'm like, bruh, what are you talking about? Because 1, I don't want you. 2, we don't even be having sex. 3, it's none of your business, because it would be different if I was sitting there telling him like, oh, I want a boyfriend, I want this, which I don't. I make it very clear, like I am happy with not having that. Like, you know, I already experienced that for 5.5 years. Like I don't need that. So in his mind, that's all, like that was like the first thing he would always bring up whenever, like, you know, we would get in our little arguments, whatever. And half the time I would just be quiet, because it was so draining, because I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? You know, like you're a grown-ass man, like literally the age of my grandpa, y'all, and you're saying all this stuff. So I'll just be like, oh, whatever. So then after that, we took a little break. Like I kind of like cut him off, and then after like the whole me going into the mental hospital and stuff, we ended up like reconnecting, because he was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry, like I hope you feel better, whoop-de-whoop. So then we like rekindled or whatever, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be different, like we're not gonna, like, you know, maybe he's like, you know, chill, because I told him, I'm like, bro, you always want to argue, you always want to fight, like you make no sense in what you're even arguing and fighting. Like you just I feel like you just want somebody to argue with, because you're not happy with your life, you're not, because everything was so negative, you guys, any and everything. And this is when I realized, like, this person is not meant to be in my life. What am I doing? Like there's not enough money in the world. Then again, because if he was paying me like good money, maybe, but it was just like, there's not enough money in the world to be putting my mental health through this, because he was so negative, any and everything, always just a Debbie Downer, y'all, like negative. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so fucking negative. So this time we went out or whatever, and it was the same thing. He just started arguing and brought the same shit up, and I'm like, bruh, like what? And I was like, wow, I really thought this time was gonna be different. And I stayed quiet the whole time, and he like stormed off so sassy, and I'm like, bruh, you really think people don't think you're gay? Like, come on. So he stormed off and stuff, and I was just like, whatever, like I don't care. And yeah, I was walking, this was in Boulder, I was walking their little downtown, then he like pulls up, it's like, come on, get in the car, whoop-de-woo, and I was just like, whatever. And the whole car ride home, I was quiet that whole time. Like usually I'd like respond to him, because some stuff he would say would be so ignorant, and I'm like, bro, like I would laugh and be like, dude, why are you arguing? Like who, like what? So this time I was just so quiet, I didn't say nothing. I was just like, bro, like just in the car, and I'm like, that was the last straw. I was like, Christopher, this is not worth your mental health. Yeah, he's monthly spending over like $3,500 on you, giving you money, taking you out, buying you this, buying you that, but it wasn't worth it at that time. Like even now, it's not worth it. I was literally like, bro, this is my breaking point. Like this is not good for me. Like this person is not good for me. Like no, I don't care, like no. And from that day forward, I have not spoke to him. If you have me on my close friends list, which I took so many people off on my close friends list, I literally have like 15 people, but I always post on there, like I would be at this man's fucking warehouse, like I would be like, you know, it's just crazy how it is. And yeah, so that happened, and it was just done with. I was just like, bro, why are you always arguing? Like why do you want to argue? So it definitely made, looking back at it now, because it's been like a month maybe since like I've like spoken to him, maybe not even a month, but looking back now, he definitely had a kink where he like liked making others feel down, feel like shit. Because the way I felt then, I was like, bro, I wouldn't, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I putting myself through this? It was just not freaking worth it. So yeah, I was just like, wow. But I did get, it's crazy because like you can find a sugar daddy and not have to give sugar. Like, trust and believe, I'm living proof, because this is a new one I got. I'm just kidding. I'm on, yeah, that Porsche on my story. No, but yeah, I wanted to do this story time because I feel like a lot of people wanted to know, because I kind of like gave a little snippets and stuff, like on my close friends with, or just in real life, people know, like they don't know the full story, but they're like, what happened? He threw a drink, and it was just really toxic. It was like pointless, and he would always like try to bring up Gabriel, or like try to bring certain things up, and I'm just like, dude, like you have no right to even be saying anything. But the biggest thing was the OF. Like, he subbed, and like he literally would, oh, but you're over here doing this, doing that, and I'm like, bruh, you have not even got, this man wouldn't even get tested. First of all, like talking about how I got tested since I was like 30. Like, boy, that's like 25 years ago. Like, how are you gonna try to come for me? I think sex workers are honestly the most cleanest, because you have to, like, every time I do a collab, it's like we gotta show each other our, you know, results and everything. Like, you have to make sure it's professionalism. So that's why I'd be like, how are you sitting here and you're like, it was pretty much projecting, because I'm like, how are you gonna sit here and tell me that I'm this way when I'm literally on my phone showing you like the receipts, and you can't even, you're just going based off of like, oh well, I just know. It was giving very much when a straight guy's like, oh well, if my girlfriend is clean, I'm clean, like it's good. It was giving very much that energy, you guys. Yeah, it was a good road. I got a lot of cute things. This man definitely though was not greedy, but in return I had to be his punching bag. So thankfully I didn't have to have sex with him. Thankfully none of that happened. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time on how one of my sugar daddies, which is now my ex sugar daddy, threw a freaking drink on me in public, made me embarrassed, and I was like, OMG. But yeah, that was like the only time it got like, you know, crazy or whatever. I was just really like, OMG, like this man is so zesty and so crazy. Like, call the retirement home right now, lock him away. But you guys, in my next video I'm gonna be doing a Q&A. So if you made it this far in the video, please comment down questions below. Literally comment whatever. Like, I'm going to be an open book. I have not done a Q&A in years. So yeah, that being said, I'll see you in my next video, which will be a Q&A. So comment down below. Bye.